We are live. This is incredible. There are some people on LinkedIn that I've always wanted to meet in person. Jamal is one of those, and yet it's still not happened, I don't believe, but it will happen one day in the future, no doubt. This is the LinkedIn Teardown with your host, James Ski. And today we've got the wonderful Jamal, who's the founder of Enterprise Sellers. Jamal, how are you? Where are you? And what are you excited about today?
Hey, James, it's great to see you. It's been a while. I'm great. I'm in Portugal. We moved to Portugal from Sweden about 3 months ago, and I'm excited about 2025. Let's put it that way.
Amazing. How's the move been for you generally?
It's been both great and really hard. You know, moving a family from the top of Europe to the bottom of Europe is a big transition, but we're reaping the benefits as well as getting used to lots of new things, like very different school system, very different public services capabilities, customer service, things like that. But the weather's great, the food's great, and we're right next to the water, so can't complain.
Very cool. Well, look, I'm happy to have you on here. And this is the LinkedIn Teardown. For those of you discovering it for the first time, I think we've nearly done about, I want to say 15, 20 teardowns. It's really caught people's attention. I think largely to do with how much LinkedIn has changed. And for a lot of people, me, myself included, I've just felt that it's a lot harder to get engagement and traction on LinkedIn than it used to be. And so wouldn't it be cool to work with some of the world's best creators in the sales, marketing, AI space who have also built a strong following and have got a strong profile. So Jamal is one of those individuals that I've admired for a long time. And I have to say, on first look, you know what you're doing. And I can tell. Why? Because you've got a clear border on this real estate here. Find and close the biggest deal of your enterprise sales career. Great hook. Amazing hook. Megadealsecrets.com is, I believe, related to your book and your brand and where people can learn more about you. And you've basically name dropped some of the biggest enterprise companies in the world that you've either sold to or sold for. So can you just talk us through your LinkedIn journey, where it started, when you started taking it seriously, and how you've got it to this point where you look like you know what you're doing?
So I was an individual contributor seller for 20 years. 13 of those years I was at Oracle. So I had a very kind of myopic corporate view of how the world works and how LinkedIn related to that. And I remember one time a customer of mine, he was a VP of IT. And I don't know why this one guy impacted me so much, but he said, I never accept a LinkedIn request for somebody I haven't met. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. So in the earliest days, my LinkedIn activity was nothing, and it was just a contact list. And for the first, 10 years of being an IC, my connections were I got up to about 5,000. And then I always knew that I didn't want to be a seller forever. And I knew that I didn't want to go into sales management because the toughest job at Oracle is being a first line manager. And I could just see that. My manager and other managers, they were on a plane 4 days a week and just a spreadsheet jockey, not what I wanted to do. And so it's not, I'm 56 now. I left the field at 52. And it was around that time that I was, in the years running up to that, I'm like, how long am I going to carry a bag? And yet I didn't see a future as a sales leader. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? And so just then brand building became a thing around then. So I'm like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And one of the first things that I did is I got on somebody's podcast. Scott Ingram does sales success stories. And he was my first guest appearance on a podcast. And after the episode was released, 40 or 50 sellers connected with me. And then they said, "Oh, heard the episode. That was amazing. I love your journey. Oh, you really kind of told it like it really was." And then they started to say, "Can you teach? I want to do mega, because my theme is mega deals, how to do uncommonly large deals. And how do you do that?" And that was the beginning of the LinkedIn journey that became many conversations at a broader level. So now I'm not just talking with a few sellers who are on my team or in my company. Now I'm talking to sellers across many companies and then across continents. So let me just take a pause, because I could talk about it forever, but that's kind of like the launching point of taking a very different approach to the relationship I have with LinkedIn.
So you understood the value of building that personal brand. You understood that you were now building it. You were your own brand, building a brand. And hello to everyone that's joining. We've got Jamal from Mega Deal Secrets here. And that drove you forward. You realized that appearing, as an individual on podcasts could build that brand. What about the actual Mega Deal Secrets book? Like, how did that idea, Mega Deals, like, how did you get to the name? How did that come about? Like, how did you find that brand? We didn't have ChatGPT then, so you couldn't have used that. How did you land on that brand? And then were you posting once a day? Were you doing text posts? Were you doing video? If I look at your activity, you're a commenter. You've obviously got great text-based engagement, amazing engagement on some of these videos. Amazing. Actually, I've seen, with your level of followers, you seem to be covering off and ticking boxes on all levels. But were you doing that from day one?
Oh, God, no. This is the slowest progression I've ever had in my entire life. And, when people ask me, what do you do? I basically say I'm a full-time copywriter, because, the investment that I put into LinkedIn is the most significant amount of my time over the last 4 years. So the business has evolved into coaching and community and now software, but all of it has been fueled by the consistent commitment to engagement on LinkedIn. Now, your first question is, what about the book? So I early on became very aware of the book being the one of the best ways to scalably have people get to know, like, and trust you. And so I wanted to write a book, but the theme was doing uncommonly large deals, this concept of mega deals. The name first started because we used the words mega deals at Oracle. And at that time, this is back in 2007. And a mega deal was a deal that was at or above $10 million. And that needed a special series of approvals to get, financials and contracting done at the time. And we called it above the fold, right? Deals that are above the fold, they're mega deals, 10 million and up. They had a special approval process. So that's where the nomenclature started for me. It's a ubiquitous term. Mega deals is kind of all over the place. Mega Deal Secrets came because I was an avid follower at the time of Russell Brunson, and for a long time, I used ClickFunnels. The Mega Deal Secrets website is on ClickFunnels for now. And Mega Deal Secrets doesn't go to the book. There's a different site for that, which is, I think, is Mega Deal Secrets book, and I'll give you the link to that in the show notes. But Mega Deal Secrets is to the coaching program. And that's it. And what's so funny is so just a quick comment, me personally, I hate the way that this website looks, but through A/B testing, this is the one that's had the highest performance, much better than anything that actually looked good by my own standards. And so I'm like, well, heck, it's not my opinion that matters. It's what converts. And so this is converting the best right now. So this is what we have.
It's interesting. If you're like, an advocate of Russell. I've been to Funnel Hacking Live 2 or 3 times. Best conference experience I've ever been in. I mean, the guy and his team, just like the best in the world, in my opinion, or I've experienced of like electric content conferences. It's insane. But you can tell, when you see the claim your free book, the shipping, handling, like you can see, and that's all good because it does work. It works for so many people, especially at this level of, solo entrepreneurship or small business owners. I think it's key. So yeah, great to see that. And now it's all coming together. Of course, a mega deal secrets book based on the .com secrets, and that's Virion. Now, this is what I love about going behind the scenes on LinkedIn, because this is when you start to learn how this picture comes together, and you talk about the journey that you've been on. Okay, yeah, tell me more, and then I want to just jump into some of the ways that you position some of these key areas.
So if we're on the Russell Brunson track and ClickFunnels, et cetera, he's got 3 books that are out, but the one that influenced me the most was Expert Secrets. So Expert Secrets really lays out the formula for any expert-based business, and solopreneurs like us, and coaching of any stripe. If you're ever interested in building that type of business for yourself, a side business or full-time, that's the Bible. I have it behind me right now. So I took a lot of those concepts, and the basic idea is widely known and used now, which is you build an audience based on some kind of a cause, right? Some kind of a forward-looking vision. And for me, that vision is helping enterprise sellers, find and close the biggest deal of their career, and also have, this big life that they want to have that ultimately leads to time freedom. And bucking a whole lot of the other things like, these recalcitrant, management teams and VCs and private equity firms who push down these antiquated sales plays that we're expected to, make 100 phone calls and a bajillion emails getting them out every day. And none of that stuff works. So we take a different path. And so the path is, how do you get away from transactional selling and move into strategic selling? And all that stuff is based on hundreds and thousands of conversations with sellers and finding that, okay, this is what pretty much everybody wants, right? So give them a path to get away from transactional selling, give them a path to get to the ultra large deals, because that's such a widely held ambition that helps lead people to the next chapter of life, which is, a lot more peaceful and meaningful.
I love it. Just coming back to LinkedIn, the feature section's often not utilized well. I have to say, this is, and I'm not blowing smoke up your bottom, as we would say in the UK. I don't know if that's a term that you're aware of, but I don't need to. I don't usually, and you're good at what you do. But this flows so well. Be honest. Do you drive and get traffic from these featured links? Do people book calls from your LinkedIn directly into your diary? Do you get news?
There was a lot more. So we're rethinking the whole page right now, and I'm not certain of this, but the evidence that I see right now is that there's obviously big changes in the market in general. 2023 was a huge year for us, and there was a ton of inbound. 2024, like right in January, that inbound just dried up. And inbound for me is 80% individual contributors, 20% companies. And so I had my own little crisis, January timeframe, and I had to make some really quick moves. And I hired a top of funnel coach. I went to the very best 3 or 4 sellers in my 200 person community, and I pulled out all my own outbound sales plays from when I was in IC, and I kind of put all of that learning together to create what now are these 4 frameworks that really work well together that most sellers don't really use. So all of that to say that LinkedIn, like the featured section, is not working like it used to. And it's time to give it a revamp. But other things are. The biggest thing that's working for me on LinkedIn right now is conversations, DM conversations.
DMs. I hear you. And I think I'd have to say the same. That's the only place that I might, you looking at your post structures here, arguably you're still doing well, but it's a lot harder, isn't it? It's a lot harder to get engagement. And I think what's happened is, as LinkedIn, and I used to work for LinkedIn directly for 3 years between 2015 and 2018. It was kind of, even though it had about 500,000 people on the 500,000,000, should I say, people on the platform, it was still getting started with content. The content feed was a new concept. So was sponsored content. Now LinkedIn has truly become a social network with the feed, but there's now 1 billion plus people on there, and everyone's trying to be a guru. Everyone's trying to create content. I just don't think there's capacity for it. And there's not enough time and attention spent on there with viewers. So I think, I'm seeing people do amazing tactics now with carousels or imagery. It's usually I want to say the younger kids. I mean, I'm a bit younger than you. I'm 37, but there's even people in their early 20s nailing this. And they're getting carousels that might get, 1 million impressions and 500 likes, and they're nailing the copy. But it's hard. But I think this is where your lifetime of relationships in the DMs pays off. Because you and I have existing connection, I'm able to shoot you something. Okay, yes, we've our paths have crossed. We know of each other. But that's brand, isn't it? That's reputation. That's what you have. So it's a lot easier for you to be in someone's DMs than it is for you wishing, hoping, and praying that your content that you post today in the feed is going to cause an action from somewhere. What are your thoughts around that?
I'm noticed. I used to panic because I saw the engagement levels and the breadth to which my posts were being distributed. The level of reach I was getting from LinkedIn was just dropping. And everybody from Scott Leese to Brandon Fluharty, all of us are lamenting this drop. But what I'm noticing is that my business is coming back nicely, even with the lower levels of engagement and reach on posts. And again, it's happening through conversations. And you said, it's this investment. It's like the LinkedIn world has grown from a city to an entire planet, right? Because you got a billion people on it. But I don't want to connect with the whole planet. I've built and I'm connecting with this village or town, and everybody who I care about is in that town, that virtual town. And now it's just developing those relationships, because now I'm having people reach. Some inbound is definitely coming back, and they've said what they've said for a few years, which is, I've been following you for a couple of years, and now it's time to engage.
I love that analogy. I think that is a great way to actually think about how we close this session. This LinkedIn teardown has been fascinating because you've really plowed your trade over time, which I guess is very much aligned to the mega deal philosophy that things take time and patience. I've never done a mega deal. I've done multi-million, but never mega deals, as you described, $10 million plus. So it's fascinating to hear the story and what you've achieved. Just as a closing comment, could you just tell us maybe, where would you like to see yourself if we caught up in a year's time with LinkedIn and your business, but LinkedIn specific for the LinkedIn teardown summary? Where would you like to see yourself, and what type of results would you like to get from LinkedIn?
That's a great question. I haven't set a goal for LinkedIn specifically, but I mean, just intuitively, the way that I see, the trajectory of the followership growth. I mean, in the end of a year, I'd be ecstatic if I went from 64,000 to 80,000 followers. That'd be amazing. It's usually slower than that, but if I can put a plan around hope, maybe something can happen there. And it will continue to fuel both whatever expansion of reach, but then also this continued consolidation with the base that I already have. But now what's happening is I'm starting to build the brands of people who are in my world. So I have thousands of followers, hundreds of people in my community, tens of people who have not only gone through coaching with me, but they've had like really massive success. And then they've come back and they said, hey, maybe I should try out coaching too. And I'm like, well, you got the street cred for it now. And so now I'm kind of bringing up this next cohort of really amazing sellers who are taking my framework and they're making it their own and extending it. And so now I want to help them build their brands. So I'm either co-crafting material with them or bringing them in to be co-speakers on webinars. I'm posting stuff or highlighting stuff that they're also creating. So now it's building this ecosystem, and it's not just me and what do I do on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Oh, it's fascinating. Honestly, I've really enjoyed this one. Everybody, you've been listening to the LinkedIn Teardown. We've had Jamal from megadealsecrets.com. So much here to learn. If you are a ambitious seller wanting to do mega deals, an enterprise seller or a leader, and you've caught this, get in contact with Jamal. As he said, direct, go find his LinkedIn profile. We've been sharing it throughout this conversation. Jamal, it's been an absolute pleasure. Just hold your horses and we wrap up.
Great being here, James.
Thank you.